Welcome to today's episode of Relationship and Life. We are still continuing on our series on how to secure the home space, that is, how to secure our marriage space. And we are looking through the life of Jesus on how we can practically protect our space. Last time we spoke about the place of sensitivity and the place of carrying your spouse or your partners along. Today we'll go further in one of those things that Jesus applied. Now, the truth is this. Life has its demands. Life has its demands, and life can be very, very demanding. And sometimes in the face of life's demands, we forget to do the most important things. If you live in a cosmopolitan city like Lagos, traffic and all that, I know some people that wake up as early as 4:30 in the morning to go to work. So you wake up that early in the morning, you breeze out, find something to eat, or if you can, bath, you're out, and you don't get back home until late in the night, 10, 11 o'clock, and the cycle continues for years. Now you are married, you are having children, and it goes on and on and on. In the midst of all these things, sometimes we forget that our marriage needs to be invested in. We forget that we need to create time, we need to create a schedule to invest in our relationship. Jesus understood this, and that's why he told his partners, he said, we are going to this thing together. This pressure is on. I've told you, I've picked this thing. I'm sensitive to it. I've called you to stand with me. But listen, let's give this thing time. I'll give you a time schedule of 1 hour, a 1 hour investment into this thing. So we established this schedule for them. And he came to check on them. And he said, guys, you're supposed to be praying, but you are sleeping. Can't you just keep this schedule with me? So the question is this. What is the schedule you have in your marriage? What is the schedule you have to protect your home? Let me read how Jesus put it. In the 40th verse of Matthew 26 verse 40, he said, he came and saw them sleeping and said, what? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? That is, there was a minimum expectation of time that he expected them to do for them to at least survive as a team. They were sleeping and Jesus said, listen, I established this time. Why could you keep it? So the question is this. Have you established a schedule to protect your home? Have you established a schedule to protect the most important relationship in your life? Now, whether you know it or not, you have a schedule for work, you have a schedule for TV, you have a schedule to rest, you have a schedule to eat, you have a schedule for all these other things. But what is your schedule for your family? What's the schedule for your home? What's the schedule for your spouse? What time do you invest in building your relationship? You see, the way things happen, let's look at a practical example. Maybe over the weekend you were at home and all that. There was a situation with the child. Maybe the child is supposed to go to a certain school. You discussed it and you did not conclude, and you said, "Oh, we would continue to discuss it sometime later." Monday morning, Sunday you could not because of the demands of the weekend. Monday morning, bam, you went to work. You were not able to discuss it. And the whole cycle goes on. At the time a decision needed to be made, you were not able to discuss. And maybe the husband makes a decision and the wife is not comfortable with it. And she's offended. Now, she's offended because, number one, they had an issue to resolve. They didn't have time to resolve it. Number two, the husband made a decision that she did not like. And maybe the wife even had a better reason for the child to go to the school the wife wanted. So these unresolved issues begin to just be swept under the carpet. Oh, we'll find time to talk about it. But it just keeps going and going and going and going. Practically speaking, there's nothing called finding time, because whether you like it or not, there are 24 hours in a day. You don't find the time. You don't find time by saying you find time. You just make a decision. At this time, we will do this. And that's what Jesus said. He said, guys, 1 hour. So the question is this. What schedule have you provided for your home? If you do not schedule time to invest in your family, believe me, somebody else is taking that time. And the result of that is not usually good. We'll take a break at this time, and we're back after the break. Please don't go away.
Experience God's life, light, and love as you join our church family this Sunday at the Helpers House, venue, Court C Event Center, 171 Bagada Oworonshoki Expressway, beside EcoBank, opposite UPS, First Pedro Bus Stop, Bagada, Lagos. Time, 9:30 a.m.
The decision on whom to marry is perhaps one of the most important decisions that you can make in life. Unlike any other decision you make in life, the decision on whom to marry has a far-reaching direct impact on your life. Sadly and unfortunately, most people fail to prepare adequately for this all too important life decision. In this book, Before You Say I Do, by Adeniyi Adekunle, you will find points to consider before proceeding to the marriage altar and down-to-earth practical questions to ask yourself before saying, I do.
Welcome back. We are talking about how to protect your home, and we are looking at the importance of scheduling time to invest into your marriage relationship. Jesus scheduled time with his disciples, and you see, it's instructive. I asked myself, why didn't he just say, oh, why couldn't you guys pray with me? He said, why couldn't you pray with me for 1 hour? He had to put time involved. Why? Because time is important. Investment and scheduling time is important for any relationship that will thrive, any relationship that will resist the onslaught of the enemy. You must create that time, you must plan that time, you must protect that time. Now, I'm not saying that, every time you want to talk to your wife, it must be like a timetable. We talk 10 to 10:30 on Sunday mornings. We talk 5 to... No, that's not what we're saying. We're just saying that those major issues, you can always talk, but in the midst of all that, create those blocks of times where you can invest, where there's no phone, there's nobody coming to knock the door, there's no TV, there's no children running around. It's just both of us. And the purpose of this is for us to catch up with our week, catch up with what is going on. You are the one that knows how your schedule is, but you must consciously look into your schedule and create that time. Why? If you don't do it, life will flood you. Things will flood you and the time will not be there. You just find out that after 10 years, your wife says something, your husband says something, and you're like, where was all this? It was building up over the years, but because you don't have time you don't make time out to discuss this thing, because you don't make time out to plan your day, to plan your life together, to talk about those things that are important, it just grew up to become a major monster one day and began to destroy your home. But Jesus said, listen, it is important you establish time. Jesus established his time for his relationship. Sit down with your spouse, even if it is that you have to wake up in the middle of the night. I don't know how we all have different work schedule. Look at there's nobody that employs you for 24 hours. There's no employer that takes 24 hours of your time. And believe me, I tell people, marriage is the only relationship that is for life. If you work for any boss, he will allow you work for 35 years or till age 60 or till age 70. Even if you run the business yourself, you cannot work till you die. But you see, marriage is, they say, till death do us part. That means it's only death that can free us from it. So you are going to be with this person for the rest of your life. So the most important relationship in your life, why don't you create time for it? Now, the truth is this. Sometimes it's tough, but we must work at it. So you might say, oh, my dear spouse, sit down between 10:30 and 11, or 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock every Fridays, and we'll just sit down to catch up. Or you say, oh, we both work at this section of the city. When we close, we would drive together. And in that drive, maybe because there's traffic, we'll take time to catch up. You must consciously pull the time for yourself. You must consciously create it. It's going to be war. Now, remember, Jesus said he came to see these guys. Their eyes were heavy with sleep. Now, the way it comes to me is this. They were heavy with demands. We are all heavy on demands, but you must fight it. They did not fight it. And after a while, Jesus left them alone. Most of us are very busy. But in the midst of all that, you must invest time in the most important relationship in your life. And after God, the most important relationship in your life is your relationship with your spouse. How are you establishing that time? You must protect it. Why? If you don't, the devil will take advantage of it. And listen, whoever you give your time to is the person you are becoming like. Eve sat down and was hearing the devil talk to her. He was talking, she was answering, answering. Before she knew it, she had become like the devil. So the same thing too. Who is talking to you? If Adam had taken that time, scheduled that time and was talking to her, she would have understood better what God was saying, what God had said to Adam, and would have been able to protect it. But because Adam was busy doing something, he was having the demands of the garden, the devil was talking to her, and she became like the devil. So the same thing too. If you're not talking to your spouse, believe me, somebody else is taking that space. Either a newspaper, either TV, either some event, either somebody, but somebody else is taking that space. You must protect it by consciously keeping that space. Believe me, it is not easy. It's going to be a battle, but start. You might not be able to start with 1 hour. Start with 15 minutes. Just create something. Phones off or phones on vibrate, children away, nobody's coming. I just want to hear your heart. I just want to hear the things that are important to you, and watch how it will change your home. If you do that, you'll find that it will be almost impossible for the enemy to barge into your home and destroy your home. Why? You have invested time to stand together. You have invested time to stay together. Thank you for staying with us today on this program. I'm sure you've learned 1 or 2 things. We'll continue this series, same time, same station. Have a very wonderful day.
I'm back bigger and better. In a world full of pressures on all sides, many people experience some form of setback at some point or the other in life. While some setbacks can easily be overcome, many others can knock the best of men out of the game of life and bring them to a place where they never have the courage to get back up and fulfill their dreams and aspirations. In this book, I'm Bigger and Better by Adeniyi Adekunle, learn scriptural strategies that will help you turn setbacks into comebacks, help you rise every time you fall, and help you fulfill your dreams and aspirations.